Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is September the 17th, 2023. Hopefully, this episode finds you well, in good spirits, and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. So far, it's been a pretty casual, fun day Sunday. Haven't done too much. Got some groceries done. The usual. Let's see here. Food corner though was pretty fun. Yesterday, I went to a friend's. When my friends they're making some beer. They're doing an Oktoberfest ale that they're working on, and that was cool to watch them kind of go through the process. And then they are also making some Middle Eastern food. So a lot of things going on in the kitchen. So it's fun to watch that all go down, hang out, have a good time. We had some pita bread. There was kibbeh. There was I think it's kafta. Then there was rice. I think I'm more or less naming all the hits there. There was some hummus, falafel. Oh, that just popped into mind. That was very yummy. We were just making they were making a bunch of it, and then we'd kind of graze on a little bit, and then we just had a big kind of feast mode. So yeah, it was a good time, fun times. Let's see here. Is there anything else I wanted to really talk about before we get into the news? No, we're good. We're chilling. Let me go ahead and do my classic little startup, and we'll carve this turkey up. Oh, I gotta redo that. I burped. Okay. Start off with the story from the Independent. Secret records. Government says Marines' adoption of Afghan orphan seen as abduction must be undone. I want to say I initially heard this story about the Masts, and it was about maybe a month or so ago. Around the time because I remember that I did a different story about adoption in the U.S. and how some of it was kind of fucked up. But yeah, this one was just ooh, I heard about it. And I'm like, I should cover this, but I'm not. And then I kind of lost it. And here we are again. It's coming back up. So I was like, all right, let's get into it. Let's talk about the Mast family. The U.S. government has warned a Virginia judge that allowing an American Marine to keep an Afghan war orphan risks violating international law and can be viewed around the world as endorsing an act of international child abduction, according to secret court records reviewed by the Associated Press. It is rare for the federal government to step into a local case, but concern about the child's fate stretched across the Trump and Biden administration. The Justice Department argued in court documents that the dispute has ramifications that extend far beyond the rural courthouse where the girl's future is being decided. At this point now, the girl is 4 years old. Let's see. Now she does have Afghan, relatives, and that's one part of this rub is they were able to reconnect after this. I think there was a military raid that took place, and the baby was recovered and in a hospital. And that's where the Marine, I should have his name at the ready, but I don't. But that's where he had, met her. He's like, oh my God, this baby, I want to take care of her. I guess, him and his wife, they just had this idea of having a child. And they're like, okay, cool. We want to make this happen. She's the one. But you can't do that because there's just a lot of red tape involved. You can't just scoop up a baby she's from this bad situation, we're just taking her out. No, it just anywhere and everywhere there's protocols to this kind of shit. And she had relatives in Afghanistan, and afterwards, the baby was in the hospital. She is reconnected with her family. They lived for 18 months. I think this is as of 2019. Then the evacuations kind of happen in, I believe, 2021, and Masts used Joshua Masts. I finally found it. Marine Major Joshua Masts and his wife. They don't say his wife's name here, But he was able to secure an evacuation, I believe, for the family, like this whole Afghan family, and obviously including the girl. But before this, he was trying to like say, hey, like I can like fund her medical stuff. You just gotta send her to us, and like we'll take care of her. And they're like, oh, we don't know. We don't like that. Like, we don't want to be separated from her. And not to mention, she's doing okay. She's recovering. And so, fast forward once again back to 2021, she gets resettled here. And then Masts works with people, other military, forces and stuff like that to secure this whole adoption, which was never on the level. It was never okay. Like, at the end of the day, they try to say, like, oh, well, this was, Afghan resistance fighters and they were killed, and we're kind of just taking the baby, filling the vacuum. And I feel like they're trying to like say, hey, like we've provided this amazing family and life for our daughter now, and we just want to continue that. We want to keep her safe and da da da. But it's like at the end of the day, you did take this child from a family, and that's not right. That's just not okay. It bothered me on the offset. I can understand that, like, look, she's 4 years old now, and you can almost make the argument like, well, she's settled, and like she should, you shouldn't rip her out of this to throw her back into something like Afghanistan. But like at the end of the day, this should have never fucking happened. And you can understand how the Justice Department is really like, what the fuck, we have to do something about this, because it is a terrible use of like everyone from any side can say like, look what America does. They come to your country, they blow up your people, and they take your children. Like, you can just word the shit any way you want, and it's like, what is the defense? Because that's literally what's happening here. So yeah, I personally thought this was just a weird, I really do want to say gross situation. I'm a child of adoption. So at the end of the day, I do get it. I support adoption. I think it's a great thing. But I don't think the idea, especially when you insert this, like, what I feel like is a white savior narrative here, like, to be like, oh, well, we're just going to save this child and give it a better life. And it's like, look, this child's life is already destabilized and fucked up, but this child does have a family. She does have a place to live and be. And I just think that it is fucked up to take this child away from her home. Like, I don't care what the circumstances are at hand, how you want to play it, but it's like, no, that's just not your right. And if you want to adopt, there's plenty of children in Virginia, in America, that you can find and adopt totally legally on the level. And this shit was not legal. And it's weird that you had so many people on one hand saying, hey, this is bad. Like, you have Biden saying, oh, this isn't okay. But at the end of the day, like, it happened, like, it was facilitated, even to the Virginia judge signing off on it, being like, yeah, this is on the level with this literally a child that is like, just in a completely different country. I don't know. It's just weird. I'm not giving it the best platform here, but it is something I just wanted to talk about and discuss now that I found like an article that really summed it up well. So, yeah, check that out if you'd like. I'd love to talk about that discourse. You know me. I love to talk about some news. But let's go ahead and move on to another story from the CBC. CBC News. Man walked naked out of shower, found Mountie in his bedroom, lawsuit says. A British Columbia man who is suing the RCMP claims he walked out naked of his shower to find a female uniformed Mountie standing in his bedroom. Kirk Forbes said the encounter in his Coquitlam home in June of 2022 left him shocked, confused, and embarrassed. I felt violated in my own home, he said in an interview Wednesday. That's my safe place. It should always be that way. Mountie said in a news release issued Tuesday that the officers entered the home when they found that it appeared insecure. In a notice of civil claim filed in July, Forbes said it was only after he asked the woman why she was in his home that she identified herself as an RCMP officer, then asked him his name and said she was there to serve him a traffic ticket. Forbes was told that the violation, not stopping for a school bus, happened in Pemberton, but he said in the claim he was unaware of any traffic violation. I was confused and at that point pretty much in a state of shock, he said. This is all because of a 6-month old traffic violation that I find myself in a situation, and I do find it just unreasonable, unprofessional, and unwarranted. Now, the defense of the Mounties, because there was another Mountie, I think he eventually gets dressed, he comes out, and he's like, oh, there's another motherfucker in here, like, looking through my house? Like, what the fuck is happening? Once again, according to the man. Essentially, their reasoning is, like, they found the house insecure, and what they mean is they knocked on the door, and they said they knocked on it, and it flung open. And because of that, they didn't, like, they felt that it wasn't as like they needed to investigate, and by investigating they find him and they're like, oh, okay, well, here you are, here's you've been served. Now that is crazy to me that they are legally allowed to do that. They are within their legal rights and powers to make that decision. But granted, I've covered stories in America, just south, the border as regards to Canada, where they've done that. Cops have literally been like, oh, this is a unsecure place, and we just got called here to do a little wellness check, but here we are. We got to go in, guns hot, and they kill a woman. So, I hate to say it, from the American POV, this man is lucky he just got caught, butt naked. At least they didn't blow him away. That being said, you shouldn't have to deal with some like George Costanza like situation and maybe have to explain shrinkage. Like, that shouldn't have to be your day. And I understand why this man is upset. And I, definitely respect the lawsuit. I respect his, tenacity to be like, look, I am looking to get justice here. These Mounties should not have been in my home. They had no reason to do this. You could have just done this a completely different way. And I agree. So, yeah, it's ACAB across the board. Even the Mounties are gonna get caught up in it. I'm sorry, you're weird. You're cringe for doing that. I don't get it. All right, let's go ahead and there's another update that I wanted to cover. Well, update. This is the first update of the episode. Whatever. From the Texas Tribune. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton acquitted on all 16 articles of impeachment. So we are back at Ken Paxton. We are back on a Texas story, a Texas legend. The Texas Senate on Saturday acquitted Attorney General Ken Paxton of 16 articles of impeachment alleging corruption and bribery, his most artful escape in a career spent courting controversy and skirting consequences of scandal. So, this is our second time talking about this man, this fucking weasel, Ken Paxton. No articles received more than 14 of the required 21 votes to convict. Only 2 of the 19 Republican senators, Bob Nicholas of Jacksonville and Kelly Hannock of North Richland Hills, voted in favor of convicting for any article. A stark contrast to the more than 70% of the House Republicans who impeached the Attorney General in May. Now, essentially what they wanted to impeach him for was this man had did a series of alleged crimes and, was caught in a trial, and he wanted to settle, and essentially it was a $3.3 million settlement. And he said, okay, I'm going to go to the House and ask for the money. I'm going to go to Congress and ask, state Congress. And they said, hey, you laid it out. And they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? No fucking way. And I believe the House Speaker, who's like a known alcoholic, was also under the gun. And so he kind of like used the fervor as well. So this all got, chalked up into an impeachment trial on this attorney general. And I feel like it's very warranted. This man has had a whole affair in which he tried to get this like Senate aide a bigger job with someone who was like a donator. He tried to help out this real estate guy, like go after his enemies and then like protect him. This dude's just in the shadiest of shady shit. So, here he is. He's got one trial, which is still pending. Like, that's still, like, a thing that's ongoing. So, he's not out of the wire here. He's not through the wire here yet. But then he's like, his whole job might be gone here. But he beat the fuck out of this case. And I got to say, I'm surprised on the outset. But then I remember that this is a Senate thing. Like, this is a Congress insulated thing. These are jury of your peers in a way. Like, these are all Republican senators. At the end of the day, the 2 of them said, yo, this is fucked up. But I think the fervor from the beginning, like seeing all of this shit, all of the crimes, and then you hear your constituents go, oh, But if you guys actually impeach him, we're gonna shake shit up. We're gonna be definitely changing up the guard if you guys fuck with our guy Ken Paxton here, because Ken Paxton is like a dyed in the wool. I really want to say ultra Republican. Like it almost maybe feels weird saying alt right, but he's definitely like aligned with Trump. So you know the kind of politics I'm talking about when I say that. You know, he's the kind of guy who's going to be pushing the kind of policies that a Trump-like figure is going to like, a Trump-like supporter is going to like. So they don't want to see this man go down for anything. So yeah, he beat the case, and in a way I'm shocked, but then I'm not, when you just realize once again, these are Republicans saying, hey, I'm going to protect my job, protect my brand, you know, our guy, and whatever. But he is still pending, you know, an actual legal trial. Did I have that highlighted? I lost it. Oh. Despite the victory, Paxton's troubles are far from over. He faces trial on charges of securities fraud dating back to 2015. So, you know, we'll see how that goes. You know, keep you posted there. But yeah, I mean, you know, if you'd like to read this, get the whole skinny. Texas Tribunal actually, you know, is delivering here. He gives a lot of the guts, talks about, you know, his you know, mistress, talks also about his wife who sat there the whole time, you know, very stoic and stone faced, and there's a bit of like controversy, like she hugged the head of the legal team, but I don't think she hugged Ken Paxton, you know, like, and they're still married. That has to be so messy, because like she literally couldn't vote or have any say because it's a conflict of interest, but it seems like she's supporting Ken Paxton, her man. She's standing by her man. Like, oh, ooh, I couldn't imagine. But yeah, all right. I'm done with the Texas heat. I feel like we can move along here. Let's go ahead and talk about another thing from Axios. But let me take my last break, and then we'll get into this. This is a bit of gamer news. So, you know, if this is not your thing, sorry about it. But, you know, figured, hey, for my gamers out there, figured it'd be something worth talking about. You know, the Among Us heads. Okay. Our last story is from Axios. Unity rushes to clarify price increase plan as game developers fume. Unity, the tech company behind one of the most popular engines for creating video games, is scrambling to clarify how a price increase for its services will work after its announcement Tuesday morning broadly infuriated the game development community. The fees, which Unity said are essential for funding development for its tech, left many game makers wondering if having a hit game through Unity would cost them more money than they can make. Developers spoke throughout the day of delaying their games to switch to rival Epic Games' Unreal Engine or other services. By the evening, Unity executive Mark Whitman was updating Axios on policies potentially diffusing some concerns. So yeah, let's talk about like what that means, like what they're trying to do. The new runtime fee that was announced Tuesday morning is tied to a player's installation of a game, an action that previously didn't cost developers anything. Essentially, they're saying, hey, we want to insert another way to make money for us here at Unity because we need it. We need this money for blah, 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 blah. It's going to provide yada, 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 yada bullshit. But this is the thing. Now we are making magic. We are alchemizing here. We are inserting a thing here because this is a service that we have been doing the whole time. But we need to make our cut, you see? And this runtime fee is 20 cents per installation once their game hits thresholds of 200,000 downloads and earn $200,000 in revenue. And I feel like this is cloaked in a way that is trying to make you feel like, well, okay, this is only affecting like the big developers. So like, it's kind of like, hey, well, you're taxing the rich almost, and like you can be okay with it. But that's not really what it is. Like, essentially, you're just saying, hey, this is the threshold. Once you hit it, now we're going to start getting our cut. That's what we are owed. Developers paying over $2,000 a year for the Unity Pro plan would have to hit higher thresholds and would be charged with lower fees, essentially incentivizing you now to get into this Unity Pro plan as opposed to just getting in, without it. A new fee system will begin at the start of 2024. So yeah, I personally think this is bullshit. I definitely am siding with the developers here, just on site. That doesn't make any fucking sense because this has been running fine, and now all of a sudden you're crying, oh, poverty, we need the money, like, oh, please, like, just understand. But the people who are actually developing the games, game developers, are rallying and began fuming immediately, saying that any game that enjoying a spike in installations due to a big sale, inclusion in a charity bundle, or even just by being included in a popular subscription like Microsoft's Game Pass, would trigger backbreaking Unity fees. So essentially they're saying like, okay, this whole, oh, well, we're only taxing the rich shit, that doesn't really play. Like, that's bullshit, because at the end of the day, we just have a good month, a good season, we wind up trending for some reason, and we actually wind up being taxed by it. We go from being like, hey, we're growing, we're doing good, oh, awesome growth, and now we are getting penalized for a fee. Like, at the end of the day, we're just getting screwed here. And then not to mention the Game Pass shit. Like, there's just so many ways where you see, oh, like, this is a subscription where Microsoft gets money. But now, me, the developer, I'm getting siphoned money out of my fucking check. Why? That just doesn't make sense to me. It's crazy. I can understand why just developers are really fucking upset. Stop it. Development studio Innersloth, makers of Hit Among Us, tweeted Tuesday evening. This would harm not only us, but fellow game studios of all budgets and sizes. Which they're adding because it's like, look, you're trying to maybe market us as like a big gaming developer now, but like we just came out. Like, I don't remember when. I feel like it was around 2020, right? Like it's like a few years ago. We were all locked inside, and like next thing I know, I see these fucking like sus shit or whatever. Like, that was crazy growth, but then I imagine getting punished for that now. By your own fucking platform that you're selling your game on, whatever have you. So yeah, I mean, I think this shit is fucked up. What is it? Unity has scrambled to try to clarify, which you love that. I love in this digital age how like the clapback, the backlash is so instantaneous that like they immediately within the same week have to be like, oh, okay, look, what you guys heard is not what you heard. It's not, we didn't mean it. We need to clarify some things. We need to like sort some things out. Like, no, you need to fix this. And that's what they are trying to do. They are trying to immediately compromise with with population, with the, the community. And I love that the internet, allows us this. But at the same time, it's just at the end of the day, they're just going to keep trying to propagandize this bullshit, try to market it a little better, try to smooth the edges, huh? But, yeah, I don't like this shit. I think it's bullshit. Oh, excuse me. I had to let that rip. I'm sorry. It's Sunday. I'm being goofy. We're burping. Let's see here. They do offer tweaks. I don't want to get through all of them at the end of the day. I do think this is bullshit, despite what, the CEO, whatever, is saying, like, hey, only 10% of Unity's developers wind up having to pay any fees, given the thresholds games need to hit. No one, this is just bullshit. This is not helping anyone but you guys, but Unity. And you guys are making enough money. Like, just relax, in my opinion. I don't think y'all need it. There is something I did want to add. Unity closes offices due to credible death threat. Death in a video game. But no, I think just kind of getting to the heart of the article from Polygon, essentially, I think an employee was issued a death threat on social media, and for that reason they closed some conversations or talks. I really feel like this is them kind of once again spinning to the media, saying, hey, oh my gosh, this is crazy, people are coming for us. But at the end of the day, no, please don't issue death threats. Once again, this is another problem of the internet, is that things are so accessible, and the information highway is just so wide and fast that you can just pop off and think you're just saying nothing, quote unquote. But no, people read that, people see that. So don't be fucking gross, weird, dark, and cringe. What the fuck? Stop. Just be normal. It's so hard to employ people just to relax and not be unhinged. But yeah, I wanted to talk about that shit. Also, to close out, I guess a little bit back into the personal corner. I wrapped up Das Kapital Volume 1 today, so that's good. It's nice to have another book under the belt. I gotta say, my synopsis, my review is. It is not as. I remember thinking going into it, like, oh, this book, I'm going to learn so much. I'm going to be so inspired and yada, yada, yada. And I think I have been, but not in the way that I thought. Like, it just winds up feeling like I'm reading an economy book, and that was not fun. But that being said, it was still a good read. I think I'm going to take a break on the other volumes and read some other things. But it was nice to kind of read the book that everyone's talked about in a lot of just leftist circles and things of that nature. After reading that book, I definitely know, Grimes, you did not read that book. Ain't no way, girl. And I don't believe you. There's a picture of her reading the book, and people meme the shit out of it. And I'm like, yeah, ain't no way. Ain't no way. But no, I definitely, it's a book I would suggest for the curious, but I don't know if it's something that you're not interested in. Don't pick it up. It's not that engaging. Like, it wasn't fun to read, but it was a good read, if that makes sense. So yeah, there's that. It definitely, it has me thinking on shit though. I would definitely say that. But yeah, that's the episode. A little bit of final thoughts there. Sorry, wanted to cap it there. Yeah. Let's see, Patreon. No, it's Sunday. I don't feel like shilling, so no. Hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love you. Bye-bye. Mwah.